Dive right in. Welcome, everybody. Okay. Another week of our webinars going on here. For those of you that are new or visiting, welcome. Way it works pretty simple. I'm going to present my analysis on some of the potential trades they're setting up for this coming week. Again, this is my own analysis. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. You know the drill. Trading is risky. Trade at your own risk. Cool. That being said, I will present my analysis, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions in between assets as I move through the asset. You can raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and you can ask whatever it is that you'd like to ask. So, that being said, we all had a lot of fun this week. A really volatile week in the equity markets this week, finally, after some really sleepy trading. A really nice sell-off, but at the end of the day, no technical breakdowns. Just a pullback in the context of this massive uptrend that's been going on for years. Off the new high on the weekly chart, we got a little pullback. We tested the 50 moving average on the weekly chart, this green line over here, and we shot out of it basically. You could see there were two trend lines on my chart. One of them was the lows back down here that started over here. And we tagged that, shot out of there. The other one was like this resistance support area that flip-flopped back and forth, where it was resistance over here, and then it turned into support back over here, and we closed above that also. So from a technical standpoint, just a nice big pullback, but totally necessary and healthy in the context of this uptrend. Okay, so for now, you're not concerned at all with the sell-off. We should be expecting a rally. The only question is, where is it starting and what's happening? This demand zone has to come off was pierced. On the daily chart, you can see, and I'm sure you heard tons of noise and people speaking about the close under the 200 moving average on Thursday. And then on Friday, we were able to retrace and close just barely but above this 200 moving average, which we haven't closed underneath since first, back in April. So quite a while since that's happened. And you should expect that, people that have been waiting for pullbacks, or some of the, bigger players are going to use this as just a pullback in this, uptrend for an opportunity to buy, stocks at a discount. That's what happened over here. And therefore, what we really should expect is the rally back, and then when we get somewhere up here where we broke out of this top, that's where we're going to have the fight, So it should be a fairly easy trickle back up, the way that markets rally on the way up, not as harsh as the way down, but some kind of, chop, black back test into some level, which we're going to try to identify in the next few minutes, where the battle will take place between the bulls that started, the bears that started the sell-off, and the people that are buying these pullbacks over here, this dip over here. So if we can find that area and then trade it accordingly, there might be a really nice trade setting up for us. So we're going to look for that together. And that's the idea for now. So we should expect some kind of rally out of where we are. Take a look over here on the 240 chart. And that you could see where the demand picked up somewhere around the bottom of 27, close to 2,700, and then we rally, then we back test. So there's the higher low that's already on the charts. You can see this on the 240. There's our higher low after we sell off out of something over here, right? And now we're looking at these twins with, what should be at least this area around 2,800. Maybe some smaller time frame pullback again from that little level, and then what we're looking for is this pop back to something over here where we're going to test this area, which obviously is not on this chart yet. We're still looking for it, but that's what we're looking at over here. We should be expecting some kind of rally over here to something into supply over here, and that's where these guys and these guys are going to duke it out, boom, 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 and whatever happens out of that level will tell us what to expect. If we make the lower high, we're going further. If we end up turning around out of that level, we can expect new highs. So for now, early in the week, the traders rally back into that zone, which we're going to identify in a minute. And then we will talk about, later in the week, after we see what happens over there, then what should I expect after that, right? So take a look here as our 60-minute chart. And so this is the level I think we're aiming for currently, okay? This thing over here. right underneath this little breakout area. On the 15, we're going to see that it might be slightly higher somewhere over here. We're going to take a look at it, but that's the spot. We should be getting through this area right here. Why is that? Well, there's the higher low, right? So we sold off out of the zone. Notice when the zone was really created back here, we hit it over here the first time, and we made a new low, and then we come back to the zone, and we sell off again. We make a higher low, we come back to the zone again. That means we're running out of sellers over here. We should be able to break through this thing up into the air. There shouldn't be anything in the way until at least here, right? So we're looking at already, that looks to me somewhere around at least a 50, probably closer to 61 on the fib retracement, somewhere over here. All right, we'll measure it in a second. But somewhere in here is where the supply is going to kick in, and then we're going to get this battle I'm talking about. You know, do we break down and create the lower high, right, from up here back down over here with this lower high and start selling off, in which case we should break this bottom and end up somewhere else. Or do we just know we break through this zone as well, we create some more demand, and then we just pop all this is all garbage up here, okay? We're not really stopping over there any place anymore, especially if we hold this level over here, we break through it. Then this is just a technical sell-off in the higher time frame uptrend, a little pullback, and then boom, we should be shooting to new highs. So let's take a look at the 15 zone that I'm talking about that I think is just a dot above this level here. Let's go see if I still remember what I'm talking about. And yeah, I do. Okay, cool. So this is the one where it's sort of like level on level and level and all this bullshit going on over here. Around 2860. Okay, where we're looking at this spot. So this level I just mentioned to you, I think is going to pop. You know, this is where we'll start to get some of these little pullbacks and lower high like this, like this. This one is the one I think where the fight's going to start. So taking a short out of here is probably not a bad idea at this point. I'll probably expect a back test to 2800 out of that. You know, and then we'll see which way it wants to go, you know. If we don't pull back at all out of this level, we just base, no sell-off, probably expect, you know, we're heading through the top. I doubt that after such a strong sell-off, the sellers are going to give up without one more push down, okay? I'm just going to jump back to the higher time frame for a second, and it's unlikely that if we rally all the way back over here, and we take these twins and we start rallying up to here, and we get back to like 2860, which on this chart looks like somewhere like right over here, right where they'll be breaking out of this bottom over here. It's unlikely that the sellers that did this are just going to walk away. They might, you know, they'll try to defend something, push down a little bit. These guys will push up a little bit, and we're going to burn, and then we'll know what's going on. So if you wanted to take a short over here, it's probably worth 20 or 30 ES points on the way down, back testing a little bit. Okay? I know the markets have been crazy volatile this week. Tough to get in if you're trading with a very tight stop. But you know, the only way to trade those is mark the zone, you know, and take the deep part of the zone, and you know, when you get hit, you get hit, and you have to take that trade. It's worked fairly well. But that's the only way to do it, because you're going to start waiting for these candles. Some of them will get really big, even on the little time frame. There's just nothing you can do about that. Okay? So that's the ES analysis. We'll take a look at NASI, but if anyone has a question for me so far, please feel free to ask right now. Go ahead. You can raise your hand, and I will call on you. Otherwise, I'm just going to move on to the ES, to the NQ. Okay. All right, there we go. NASI. All right. So also a very nice sell-off, but a much bigger recovery. Notice that this weekly candle looks nothing as bad as the you know, as the ES candle. We have really big wick. It's like almost half of the sell-off was already retraced, almost, right? Looks pretty good over here. Not that bad. Actually getting into demand, right? Into this little demand zone over here. This is our 50 moving average on the weekly chart. And that also was, you know, retraced fairly nicely. We get the doji on Thursday, and then the nice big green candle on Friday, closing above the prior doji. So this is starting to look like an evening star reversal down here with the same idea. We're going to back test to this sucker to find out what's going to happen up here, right? And that's where we'll know, because if we create a lower high somewhere over here, we can expect this level gets taken out. We end up somewhere lower. Right, or if we break through it, well, the top anymore after that should give way So again, unlikely that the sellers who did this big move down will give up this level without a decent fight, So you could expect a pullback probably to somewhere over here at the top of the doji, and then we'll see where it wants to go after that. Okay. So taking a look down here, we can see the reversal is already starting. Okay. On the 240, it looks like we got down into some demand. We had a long trend line up there and hits the bottom, hits our demand on around 6,900, rallies back up and sort of almost gets into the beginning of this pretty big supply zone, right, up here. But you can see that we started making higher lows and higher highs over here, and the lower time frame starting to look like the strength is here for NQ. Take a look at the 60 chart. There it is, and there's the higher high, higher low. This is already flipping trend, right? Late in the day on Friday, after the big sideways action on the NASDAQ, on the smaller time frame I'll show is just pathetic. Side actually drops down into the level. This was the level I think I tweeted out on Friday. Actually a little even tighter off the smaller time frame, but yeah, this one, and then we get this, this pop. So you can see the higher low, higher high starting over here. There's air all the way up to this sucker, around 72.80 to 70, probably closer to 7,300. We'll look at this something a little bit higher up again on the 15-minute chart, but that's the back test we're expecting, and then we'll see where it wants to go. It should sell off a little bit out of there, and then somewhere over here will be this final stand to figure out what's going on with the with the next swing. Is it up or down? Let's take a look here, or 15. There's the level that I was tweeting out on Friday. This sucker over here does a really nice little move up. There's the supply that's a little lightly higher than us. All right, still up there around 78, 72.80. It's still coming in over here. I think on this might be something just above on the littler time frame even, but that's right around here someplace is where we should expect the selling to kick in up there. Okay, and then the back test will come back down over here, probably to this area that we've broken through, this thing, 71.50, and then we'll find out what's going to happen after that. And that's again for the little time frame. Well, that will show on the higher time frame as just one candle, and that will be the close of that day. Whatever it is that we get there will tell us what to expect. So that's all for the equities. If anyone has a question, you can feel free to ask. My bias currently is long up into those supply zones I just showed you on the, on the 60. I'd say that's what we're heading. And after that, I wouldn't mind flipping short again to, we were trying to trade in a tighter range, back down into, the area that we were breaking out of now, so long up into the supply and then back down to where we break out of. And after that, it's hands off. We have to wait and figure out where this thing wants to go so far. Okay, that's what we're looking at on equities. Okay, feel free to ask a question. I'm moving on otherwise. Someone does. Who we got? Somebody's raising their hand here. George. Hey, George. What's up, man?
Hi, Joe. Can you remove the tray bar on top?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Get the screen a little bigger for you. Sorry about that. Good? All good. Cool. Thanks for reminding me to do that, by the way. No problem. Next. Let's move on. Cool. All righty. Crude coming up. So we had a really big week in crude that was overshadowed by the noise in the market, right? I mean, the stock market was down, whatever it was, the YM was down 800 one day, and whatever the next day another bunch, and crude was actually down like $2.50 2 days in a row, and nobody said a word about it. Massive sell-off in crude this week, right? We started the week up at like 74 or 75 almost, and we closed, down at 71. There's a ton of selling pressure in crude. From the weekly chart, so we peak above over here, but a huge rejection out of that sucker. So, we don't get any closes anywhere near the top of this thing. So we just stop anybody out over there who had their stops hiding up there. We get a huge sell-off, and now it's time to figure out what's going on, because the trend is really still up over here on the daily chart. But we do have this little drop-based drop that was formed over here, right? And we're coming back to the real demand that's sitting underneath us, and now it should be doing something like this, And then, over here, we'll figure out which way it wants to go. You see the little gap area over there, right? We should be expecting a rally. The only question is, and I think it's probably what's going to happen, is we're going to pierce under 70 first. I think we're going to drop from here. This first touch of 70 should give an explosive move back over here someplace. And that's, when we're going to find out if we make this lower high on the daily, because the other time frames are actually down. As we go through the other time frames, you'll see this is a downtrend already over here. Right? So pivot up here, we start breaking down, and the smaller time frames are already down. So I think we get one more push over here when we get down into the good demand. That's the 50 average. That's a big ass 70 number. Maybe even we tick underneath a little bit under 70, and we get this wicked, how crude when it wants to explode. We get one of those moves all the way back, like $2.5, shoot up there, land inside the supply zone over here. And if you ask me what happens after that, I think we're gonna do this, but I can't guarantee that part yet. Pretty sure that this is what's going to happen. We're going to drop in here, and we're going to back test, and then we'll find out up here, like $2-3 away from the demand zone, which way it wants to go. My bias would be that we break down, but I can't tell that just yet. But that's what we're looking for. So a continued sell off a little bit over here. I think we're going to see in crude. We're going to test this level. You can see the downtrend of the 60. We did create a little bit of this lower high on Friday. When we was getting ready to break down even on Friday. We were in some shorts and looking for this thing to start breaking down. I ended up holding back test to the zone. So far, there's a really pretty nice trend line going on over here, right? You can see that, and the lows are all low, the highs are still all lower. So until we make a new high up here, breaking at least some prior pivot, all this is noise on the way down. They're trying to hold this thing up, and it just keeps getting clocked and clocked and clocked. I think we're actually going to roll over one more time, break this bottom, end in 70, and then we back test all the way back up here. Okay? Probably this level, this one up here. We'll go take a look on the 15 how that looks, but I think that's probably the one we're gonna, the real untouched zone is this. This one over here, yeah, it's not touched the way I drew it, but when you look, it's been hit over here. If you start to, pick up some of the wicks behind over here and count that base, it's, this one is totally untouched. That's where the test should come. That's where the prior low was. That's where the demand was on the other side. Take a look. That's where we broke out of this bottom. So, when we hit 70, that's the target, all the way back here. Up here, then we'll see what happens. But that's what we're looking for. Okay? Doesn't mean these zones won't do anything on the way back up, right? They'll do something. They just make a higher low, which means, we break down. We come into this zone. We'll sell off, but we're not going to break the prior bottom. We'll turn around, make a higher low until we finally get up here. That's where the real fight is going to sit, right over here. Right? Cool. All right, so that's what we're expecting for crude. I would say early weakness in the week. Once we get under 70 or into that demand zone that I just showed you on the higher time frame, kill your shorts and start thinking about maybe a counter trend long. There's the level over here at 70 on the smaller little 15-minute chart. I'll zoom in for a second. Let's see what it looks like. So it's right here. All right, comes in at 86 to 77. All right, a little bit dot under 70 where it's the top. That's the bottom part. You can see 70 is like these wicks over here, and that's where the real fight should happen. So I think we're going to drop into this thing. We're slightly higher right now, but I think we're going to sell off. Okay? So right now, trend is down. That's what we're looking for over here. Why do I have an extra line? I think I must have moved something around over here. Let's see. Where does this go? This is this. This is this. I'm not sure what that is. Why I got that. Maybe over here. I'm not sure what that is. I'll just take it off now. For now, we'll move on. Okay. That's our crude. Let's take a look quickly at what happened in the dollar this week. If you have a crude ahead. And the dollar did get back down, like we talked about last week, into its level of demand over here. Right? This level over here. It looks like we're off by just a little with the pierce of the zone. But again, this is a lower high now, no question about it. This was a lower high. We rallied back up. This is still, tick up this little pivot up by a little bit. Looks like it got into the gap, but still nowhere near the top. Turning over back to demand. Now it's decision time, right? This is either doing this or this, right? Up or down. We'll have to figure that out as we go through the time. But the other assets, figuring out what's happening. It looks to me, I think we're going to see this hammer here is going to fail fiercely. We're going to end up somewhere down over here this week in 94. We should see this first level of supply over here. You see this on the little gap area on the 240. Maybe we touched that. Okay, it looks like we started there already, and then that's it. We're ending up over here. That's the target for the week. Down over here on this 240 level of the dollar. We expect from the other assets, currencies and gold, continued strength. Gold finally showing life after a couple of months of just sleeping. And we get this, the big pop out of this sideways action on the weekly chart. We end up inside this little doji and a little pausing over here because of this expanded rally. When we usually get, an extended period of sideways action, the pop is violent. This is a really nice move for gold, $30-something, well outside its ATR, no question about that. And then just a little pause. So what we really should think is, we should expect that a backtest will usually happen back to the breakout area, which is over here, right around 1210. All right, especially because we're touching demand that we haven't hit in quite some time. Right, back up here, and finally on this violent breakout, there's the top right over here. Somewhere over here, there should be a level on some smaller time frame that we sort of pull back, and then boom, the rest of this move comes. All right, the next pop puts us at around 1250. Okay? I'll show it to you up here. Right here. Okay, because the daily, we get into this area of resistance, we should see some kind of pullback, maybe a little more basing over here. As long as this breakout area holds, we'll get a bull flag over here, and then we pop into the next level, which is right here, 12, almost 50. Right. So another, $20-something, $30, depending on where we get into this thing, looks like for gold. Okay, and that's what we should be expecting this week. Let's see if we get that, especially if the dollar drops it out, down into that level, goes selling off. We'll get a nice looking pop in gold, and there is what I'm seeing here. Okay, so this is right. Big bull flag on the 60 chart, right? I mean, huge. Right? There's our flag, and we're dropping back down into this little level. This little 1220 area is holding so far. Okay, it very well may just break out of this. We don't know yet. In which case, we'd have to determine where it is that we can join this breakout above us, or it can just keep dribbling down just a little bit and hit what I think is a really nice demand zone over here. Right, this little level on level on level, because we had this breakout at the bottom, it usually backtests. I think we may get a chance. The only thing that's bothering me is that, this is pretty big. Maybe it stops here. I don't know if it's going to get all the way back down into 07 or something like that. It may stop at 10. I'm not, and the only way to trade that is when it drops into the zone that we watch it turn around on some smaller time frame. If I'm, if I'm going to buy, a dropping knife into the zone, this is the zone I'm going to buy. Otherwise, we'll watch. Maybe we get a reversal out of something higher up, in which case it's something that we can't predict yet, right? So let's see if we have something else on the smaller time frame there. Okay, so I drew these out earlier. This is the level we've been holding all day on Friday, right? Still, you could see where the breakout is sitting, and we actually have another supply zone just above, so we wouldn't buy this breakout just yet anyway, right? And then I've got some fibs over here. You can see like the first level is the 50 fib. The one that I'm really talking about over here, this 07, 05, 08, all that's sitting in this 61 range, and that's usually the better spot for the pullback. If we get the drop, that's the one I'd expect that I'd like to see. Doesn't mean we won't trade a 50 fib this zone over here. If we get a reversal, which means we drop in and then we make a higher low, we start rallying someplace. Then we're going to have to buy the long. But either way, our bias is totally long. We're not taking any shorts in gold at all right now. We're waiting for this little back test of the breakout area to get into the trade. And the target out of this thing, if we do get it down here, is 1250. So we're talking about 40-something bucks in gold. Huge, huge move. $4,000 a contract. Okay, that's what I think we're going to look for coming up this week, so stay tuned. Send out some tweets again, obviously in the mornings for this, those levels as we start to pull back into them. Hopefully, if we just decide to break out of the top over here, let's zoom out a little bit and see what's going on up here. See if we got some targets up here. Where's our next supply zone? So there's the next supply zone. Not really something that I would really want to take the breakout out of just yet, especially with these lower highs over here. So the trend line is looking like this. All right. Actually, we drew on the small. The other time frames. We break out of here. It's okay. It's like $10, but yeah, you got to deal with this thing. Again. So you're probably better off waiting till this gets hit and then a little pullback and then buy. Because that will give you, something much bigger, all the way back up to here, right? 45 inch. So I'm not buying this breakout, I don't think. I'm going to wait for it to hit this thing and then look for some chance into that. Otherwise, we'll wait for it to pull back again, like I mentioned, into this like 12, this area over here, right? Which I laid out on the 15 chart around the 61 fib. Okay, cool. Everybody good? Moving on. Cool. Somebody's got a question. Okay, Malik. What's up, man?
Hey, Joe.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. Question, can you, two questions actually on DX and GC. Can you go to GC 15?
Yeah, hold on. GC 15. Let's see what we got. No. Yes.
The demand zone at 1208.3.
Yes. Merging the two zones over here together. It's level on level. So
okay.
I instead of doing it this way.
Yeah, usually you kind of put your proximal below.
Yeah, I draw it this way, but again, I was trying to, because of this thing that's sitting right above us, I was merging a little bit, so I wanted to pick up at least something over here. So I just threw it at this wick over here. I'm trying to catch the beginning part of this thing. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay.
So that's the reason. Because instead of just ignoring this whole zone, let me just throw part of it in there, because you can see that that's really right what happened over here. See?
Yep.
All right, so that's why I did that. Okay, cool.
And can you go to DX 240?
Yep.
I'm just trying to understand. Can you explain the zone that you actually drew because of a gap?
Yeah. So top over here, and then the close of the candle over here.
Okay. You always take the close.
When there's a gap, so that means that that's where the price closed, and then this is the gap. So it's really just the gap. That's all I drew.
Okay.
Right. From the gap, from the closing price to the high of the underneath us, that's the gap area. Right. So that's what I drew over there.
Okay. Thanks.
You got it. Okay. There we go. Next, moving on. Let's go take a look at the euro. So the euro, really weird move on Friday. I'll show it to you. So we, on the weekly chart, we do hold this demand zone so far. It looks like our wick was slightly underneath, holding this gap area over here on the daily chart, right? It looks like over there. And then we start to, create this another higher low over here, basically on the weekly chart, right? For the next move back to this area, which is, I think, what we're going to see. For now, it looks like, we have a little bit of supply on the way. And we got a little pullback over here. You could see I tried to get into this long over here. Friday, it never hit me. I'll show you the zone I was trying to get into. And right now, still waiting to see if we want to take this thing. We did pierce this little supply over here. This little move up over here, right, taking out this thing by, whatever, bunch of ticks. So, this is a breakout from over here. You could see all these levels over here so that's where I was trying to get in to see if we're going to make this move back up here. This is an uptrend. This is the pullback in the uptrend. We get under the pivot, but we're still turning around now. So, see if we can get this move. That's what we're looking for, to move back to 120. There's a really nice zone underneath us on the little time frame that I was trying to get into and never got hit. So the question, there it is. So this is like whoever was trading this on Friday, this is an algo, no question about that. And a shitty one at that too, because it's just a joke. Red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, going sideways, closing, immediately going back and closing the other way, and never really breaking down. There's a little bit stop out on either side of this thing, in the middle of its little whatever it was, and then just closing dead. There's the gap right underneath us. There's even a level over here on the smaller time frame that we're trying to get into. But this is looking like, for now, this is an uptrend on the 60. This is a pullback. And yeah, we took out some of these little pivots on the way up, but still, no breakdown whatsoever, no change of trend. So this was the level I was looking for. You could see that we never got in there. Early in the morning when we made this move up here, and then great, I'll buy this area over here, but just slept all day. So right now, with all the basing over here, I would have to actually watch it drop in and turn around or something before I do anything. But my bias is still long for euro. And again, if we catch this at this turn and it goes where we expect, the next target up there is almost 1.2, on the higher time frame. So that's what we're looking at. We'll see how it looks tomorrow morning at the open. Okay. What do we got for Aussie? So this thing, after just a horrendous looking weekly chart, really doesn't do anything other than a little harami. We'll have to see if that plays out. All right, a little green harami to start the rally back, at least from the higher time frame. I mean, I can understand this level. We finally got underneath all this, right over here into this monthly thing. So maybe that's where it starts. But no question about the trend over here on the higher time frame. Still, this is totally down. We're getting a back test. So over here on the 240, we got the double bottom. It looks like over here, where this is the middle. We're just about to pierce it, and the origin really starts here. So you should expect that we're going to get here. Is this tradable or not? We'll have to discuss down on the 60. But the short is here. All right, assuming we don't make any other moves, we just shoot right up into this thing. This will be the end of the double bottom down here, and we'd have to sell this level at 7,200. Okay. Let's take a look over here on the 60, and has the trend flipped? And the answer is yeah, it has. So over here, right? So down on this with this pop over here now, I think we're getting this uptrend. If I wanted to buy this level and get out over here, I don't have an issue with that. The only thing is this, which means you'd have to actually wait for this and then this. Then you get in, right, when we take out these highs after the supply is gone. You can take the long over here. It's not that big. It's like 60 ticks. I expect that this thing over here is the higher time frame supply that's going to push us back into the bottom. So it's not a great range over here for the Aussie trade. There's much better looking stuff that I presented this so far. So, depending on what you like to trade, I personally don't expect to make any trades over here this week. Okay. Pounds. Looking like we're getting this continuation to bring us back over here. The only problem with that is what's going on right here. It must reverse immediately. Tomorrow must be a green candle for this to happen. This becomes another red candle over here. We got the lower highs going on over here. We know this is all Brexit related and all kinds of shit going on. We're in the first level of demand. This level is the one that has to hold over here, because if it doesn't, we're going all the way back down into this thing over here. So, we'll find out tomorrow what to expect out of pounds. We start rallying out of this zone, it's going to be a decent buy, because you're looking at, all the way back to 3.5 almost. Okay. Again, this is not a news related, so be careful with that kind of stuff. Take a look here. There's our zone that we are sort of arriving into. Looking at an uptrend over here on the 60. There's the demand zone. There's one more on the 15, I think I saw, that comes in a dot lower than this, like right over here. Probably the one I'd be more interested in, but right now we're basing right above this zone, so I have to wait and see what happens. This is a supply from back here. Has not been pierced yet. Still valid at this point, breaking new lows. So still supply, right? But pretty damn close to demand with the basing. So this level is not something I really want to trade anymore anyway, because if we drop into it, I've got a supply in front of my face, right? There's the 15. That's the one I'm talking about. So we're basing all over this thing. And this is the one that's just underneath it, you know? So we'll have to watch this. This is actually starting to look a little bit weak over here with all these supply zones being formed. Pushing down into here, we'd have to wait for a pushback, sell off, higher low, and then maybe we can take a long. So again, pounds are in sort of a holding pattern, figuring out which way they want to go now based on what we're looking at on this daily higher time frame. And again, if the next candle is green on Monday, then we can talk about, taking out the highs and then we come back over here. Otherwise, we have to think about shorts. Okay? So again, nothing yet for pounds going on, at least for Monday. So let's move on to Canadian. Nice little reversal over here. Look at the rejection. After we get this really nice dragonfly candle over here, and we get a continuation the next week, but then we reject the highs and ended up closing even below where the dragonfly was. And then we get the continuation over here. So this is totally wiped out, failed on the weekly. We should be going over here. Okay, so don't look too good right now for pounds, especially if we get the wicked sell-off in crude. But again, notice there's a gap right under us over here. So again, same idea. Like when crude pushes down into 70-ish, we should be in here. Expect some kind of violent push out, and then this level up here is going to fail, I think, just like we're looking at. This fresh supply zone is right over here, right around 78,000. So, this is a downtrend. I think we're going to break down one more time over here. We're going to hit the gap, and then we're going to rocket ship out of there while crude makes its wicked move all the way back over here, and then we'll figure out what happens with Canadian. Okay, so it looks like that would come out somewhere around the test of this 200 average over here, right? Right around 78,000. See, it's all in the same spot right here. There's the gap, right where crude is going to hit 70, right? So looks like that's what we should be looking for coming up this week. Take a look at the 60. All right, you can see that we're making this downtrend over here. We've sold back to the level of the prior lows, right? Used to be a demand zone, like that. And we start selling off again. And now we're in this little time frame supply. We just closed out the day, on Friday afternoon. So this looks to me like a bear flag, this whole thing over here. So, giving us one more push down, hitting that demand zone underneath us where the gap is sitting. And that is where we should expect the next rally to start from, right? This area under here. Boy, that looks nasty. Wow. Ouch. That looks huge, huge head and shoulders over there. All right, so this is the area where the gap is sitting. You can see this. This is very strong demand. You can see the wicked move out of that. No back test, all fresh, beautiful, breaking through all prior highs back here with a wicked move up. So yeah, this little bear flag over here breaking down should put us right into that zone. Right? Staff. At the top. There's the breakdown coming out of the bottom. So yeah, that puts us bang right into that thing. So this little zone that it's banging against probably will fail, and we will end up underneath us in here, and that's where the big rally will start. That's the gap on the daily chart. Cool. All right, that's what we're looking at for Canadian. Let's take a look at the yen. I think the yen is one of the better trades I think I saw this week. So let's take a look. We had this big wedge on the weekly chart. We break underneath it a couple of weeks ago, and then we put in the evening star reversal all the way back, strong rally over here. Well, that's really pretty, but all it is one move counter trend back testing on the higher time frame. This is a downtrend, and we're about to hit the the supply. It's level on level on level, and up here is where we should start to get the next pullback. Because if we're really going to rally like we're looking at over here, well, take a look back here. So we should have a back test to this zone to create a higher low. Then we can turn around. So either way, there's a pretty big sell-off coming from here, right? And that should bring us back to like 8.8, looks like 5. Somewhere inside, slightly below here, right? So sell-off should be coming. We'll see if it starts to show itself already, but a backtest at least to this zone, okay? Yeah, absolutely. Take a look. Okay, so there's the yen. It's already put the lower high on, or at least the head and shoulders on the 60 chart, looking like this is gonna get tested here, and there's the neckline. You can see it. There's some fresh demand under here, which should give us the back test to the trend line after we pierce it, which means we should do like something like this, and then bang, and then back test here, and then the big sell off into here, and then where is it stopping? Probably somewhere lower down. This level's been hit. This level's been hit. Right? Now where's the fresh demand? It's a little bit lower down. So let's go see what that looks like. I think we set around right on the higher time frame was like 88.5, 88.5 I think, right? Was it? Yeah, around 88.5. So where's that put us on the 60? Which one is 88.5? So it's slightly over here, somewhere inside here, a little bit underneath this zone. It would be like 88.5. Let's see where that comes out on the 15. Is there something over there? Okay, 88.5, slightly underneath us here. Oh, yeah, there's so much air over here. Holy cow. Yeah, so that's like the last level of defense over here. I mean, if we break this, that's the zone. If that's the one that breaks, we're screwed. And yeah, so that's probably where the fight's going to happen. I would say we're looking at a short over here into this zone. Okay? Oops. Up. Let's see, where is my entry? We already got the 60 selling off. I don't really see the entry zone just yet. We have to wait for this, I think, to start to play out a little bit. We wait for this level to get hit, and then we'll take the back test. That should happen over here. This should turn into a supply zone someplace, right around this neckline of this 60-minute head and shoulders. As we break down over here, we should drop base, drop. That'll be the entry for the short. Go short here, and then we're aiming underneath us all the way down here. Okay. Pretty technical trade, but that's what charts is telling us over there. If anyone has a question, feel free. Moving on to nat gas, which had a ugly rejection. Take a look at the weekly candle on nat gas. Okay, so highs, forget the highs. We ended up closing down on the week after a strong week move up. And then we just reject all the way, coming back to, again, a level of demand on the daily, but it's been hit once, right? So it did create a higher high after it got hit, right? So we should see something coming from this zone, but we've got a ton of supply over us. Look over here. Higher low, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. 240s in a downtrend. There's the level that I'm talking about that was hit once over here, created the new high. We're coming back to that. So it should rally, but hit and create another lower high someplace, right? Which will be a supply zone over here after we do the rest of this dance, this drop, base drop. This will become supply. That's the level we'll try to short when it gets created, okay? There it is. Okay, that's the zone. I have it sort of mapped out. Only, we didn't break down just yet, but that's the zone we're going to want to take short over here, right around 3.2. We're going to drop down into this one or this one, and then we'll back test into this area that we just broke out of. Probably this one. Looks pretty good. We hit the outside over there. That's the same level, right? That's the one that I said we just hit once and created a new high. That's the zone. Looks like around 3.1. And then we should get a back test back to like up here, and that's where the short's going to hide. Okay, taking the short of the long over here is counter trend. We don't want to do that. Okay, and then I wonder if we just gap down into this thing over here on tonight. Now, NetGas is always gapping down on Sundays, so maybe we do that. Let's see. Pretty looking supply right now that's on the chart already. This zone over here looks like it did really well. This doji looking candle on the 60 got hit here, creates the new low. We break over here. So, you know, there's going to be the supply zone. This is the level I keep talking about. It's going to form when we break down. Okay, so that's the spot to look for tomorrow if we start trading underneath this wick. That'll be our short entry. Okay. That's natural gas. Let's take a quick look at copper and what we got. So, looks like the selling is starting to end over here, right? This little supply zone on the weekly just produced some basing, basically, and now we're looking at something potentially forming a higher low, right? This is looking like a bull flag over here, right? And it's starting to rally out. So if we can get through the top again, there's a lot of noise. This is basing back and forth over here until it really starts breaking out. I don't really want to do anything just yet from a higher time frame perspective. I don't know if this is just, you know, going to stay within the range or hit the highs and then sell off again. It's just too much in the middle, right? You can see the demand, you see the supply up here. We're like dead center. And we just keep going back and forth. So from the higher time frame perspective, there isn't really any good setup just yet here. On the 60, so we're in an uptrend currently. We just hit the fresh supply zone, and we just ran out of time, basically, right? So there's the supply, and we hit that sucker. We're in an uptrend because of this move, but looking like we don't know what happened over here. Is it, you know, which way is it going? So this is just still something I'm not so happy about trading. There's actually a new level of demand. If you wanted to put it on your chart, you could put it here. But that's all we're looking at for now. I don't really see a great setup at all for copper, being that it's an expensive trade anyway. So let's sit tight and see if we get something better. I don't like anything too much over there. This is the one we've been waiting for. Finally. I've been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we got the beginning of the hold over here, and then the rally, base, rally. Then we get the back test over here on the weekly, right? And we get the hammer. If we go start above here, bang, baby. 9 is coming. I expect to pull back out of 9, and then we're talking about this piece of the puzzle, which is the really lucrative part. And that's really just this back test to the breakout area over here on the weekly chart, 1024, right? Somewhere over there. That's this gap area over here that we're talking about. That's the target on the way up, but we need to, you know, to make sure we're going to hold. Well, the daily chart over here, right, out of this downtrend, rally, base, rallied. Then we get the back test. Here it is, right over here, and then it starts holding. Okay, we had the USDA report. I think it was Thursday or something, and a little pull down, and now the rally's starting again. You can see that we're starting to build this flag over here. So there's room all the way back to 9 on soy. You know, the higher time frame, I believe the 60s at least, already back into an uptrend. I want to buy long, and my target for, and now at least, is 9. Oh, it's not yet. No. It's not in an uptrend. Just, you know, just almost, right? Almost. Just there's a pivot over here. You know, push 4 or 5 red candles in a row, and just almost there. So, you know, one more test maybe. This is the level I was hoping was going to get hit on Friday, you know, but it didn't happen just yet. That's where I'm looking for my entry into the long, somewhere around 8.5. I think it was on the 60. And over here, you can see it on this 15. It's a dot lower. I think it starts at 8.56 or something like that. We'll look at it right now. That's the zone I'm trying to get this swing trade long into soy for. Yeah, that's the zone that I'm waiting for. Okay, so on Friday we had a little gap over here. This thing. So it touched the top of the doji here. See this? This candle with the gap touches the top, and then, you know, makes new highs, and then, you know, around soy usually around the 9:30 open is quite volatile. It gives a bunch of spikes. So we may get a chance into this thing tomorrow morning. So I'll sit tight for a little bit, one more chance. Otherwise, if it starts breaking out, you know, I'll tweet some kind of entry for us to look into this long, because this is, you know, 8.5 something into 9 is a big trade for soy. Okay, So that's what we're looking for this week. One of the ones I like better. Any questions? Yeah, someone's got a question. Leak. What's up, brother?
Joe, can you explain where you see the pivots on for these 60 minutes?
Yeah, sure. So right now, we have a downtrend going on over here. And then we did this, and now we're waiting to get just above here, right?
It is already above it.
So we didn't get through the supply, the supply is right here. This is the supply zone.
Got it.
We hit it here, and we got we got slightly above here, but the zone is right here. Until I break this supply zone, I don't know that we're really rallying. I need to get through this thing. That's what I'm saying. If we end up breaking out, so we'll find a reason to get long, but I think we may have one more shot into this before we go through the zone. So that's why I didn't do anything on Friday. I'm not doing anything until we see what happens tomorrow. If we get through here, so we're talking about taking out this. Now we're definitely enough trends. We're going to buy, first pullback after a new high on the day, whatever reason to get long. I'll send out a tweet or something for us to use that trade. Otherwise, we're waiting for this zone. Okay.
Thanks.
You got it. Anybody else? Cool. All right. Bonds, and then we're done for today. So we get a very nice anonymous. Who's anonymous? What's the matter? You don't have a name? Who's that? Your mic is on, whoever you are, Mr. Anonymous. Or Mrs. Anonymous, or Miss. Yes, no, maybe? Okay, you don't have a mic, I guess, because you're not talking. So, all right, I'll leave your mic active. If you get it turned on, you can start talking. We'll know who you are. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Okay. Right now, you can see that we've got a no question about trend over here on the weekly chart. We did get to, some kind of demand zone over here, and we get the beginning of what's looking like a potential reversal, at least on the weekly chart. We ended up, retracing some of this candle and, getting back to supply over here. You can see that little one move, counter trend move on the daily. On the 240, it looks like we started to hold something, right? Over here, we created this little higher low, right? And then we break out of that, and now we pull back, we make another higher low, right? So it looks like it's got to as far as it's going to get without, a wicked total retracement of this all the way back to here. Which, if it does do that, just straight up, we have to short, no question about that. This is just a counter trend move in the context of a downtrend, and we'd have to get short up here at 140 and change. Can I take the breakout to this side? It looks like the 60 is probably an enough trend. We'll look at it right now, but it looks like it is based on what we're seeing here. And if that's the case, the answer would be, yeah, sure, this will become a V-bottom, and we'll take it back to this level. And, we'd have to get out over here because that's the higher time frame downtrend level, and that would be the exit. So it'd be a long someplace, assuming we're in an uptrend. We'll look at right now, and then, out at 140 and change. That's what we're looking at over here, which is basically this zone on the weekly chart. Back test to the first level of supply and get short again, right? Let's take a look at the 60. Are we in an uptrend? Hell yeah. Right? So we are in an uptrend on the 60, and therefore, if you want to trade long now, there's a decent long sitting here. Okay? You can see the air. It's sitting up above us. Right? The target would be somewhere up here in the 141 area. Right? And there's a long that's sitting there. So at this level of supply, right, got hit twice. So if we come back over here, start making another higher low, so that's the entry, right? Because we turn around over here somewhere and we hold this thing and we make another higher low, we come back to this zone, that's gone. And then we're in the air. Boom. Right? Looking like a really nice V-bottom forming over here. And so I would say, pull back into a little time frame demand long for bonds over here. So there's only one twist on this the trade. This has to hold, right? It can't break under here because then this becomes a lower high. Right now, where it's holding, that's all fine. There's demand over here, and it's just back testing after this. As long as we hold this level, you can get long. If we start breaking under there, and then I'm out. I'm not taking any longs anymore. So that's this pivot is a flip of trend under here, okay? So no good, okay? So again, as long as we start rallying out of here, any reason you want to get long is fine. Aim for 140, pretty big move, okay? Otherwise, we start selling off, forget the longs, okay? Cool. And Mr. Anonymous never got his mic on, so whoever you are, I'm sorry. You can type your question if you want. Otherwise, I can't help you. And other than that, anybody else have a question, go for it now, or else we're done for today. Wednesday this week will be a live trading session. So we'll have a webinar in the morning and a trading session for everybody. And after that, that's it. Anybody? No? Last chance? Go ahead, everyone, and go enjoy your Sunday. It's a nice day in New York City today, so get outside. All right, everybody, have a great one. I'll talk to you later. Ciao.